Hey, what's up, builders? It's your girl, Kantoinette the blogger, and you are now listening to the LBF podcast. I have Danny here with me for episode about financial growth between two young Black adults, and I named it Moneybagg No, and I really like.
I wish y'all could see my face. Like, I'm so over her.
I really like the fact that it just came together like that. So the first question I asked, so it was something on online where this lady was like, how you out here having money for luxury and vacations and your aunt is struggling to pay her light bill. And so it got me to thinking, of course, because the rebuttal to that is, people were saying I'm not responsible for adults in my family just because I might be financially more stable. So I'll ask you, like, are you responsible for those less financially fortunate in your family when it comes to money?
Responsible? No. Like, it's heavy. Like, I'm trying to get my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to get myself together. Like, if I can help you, then cool. But making it my responsibility, though,
Yeah,
much.
that's a bit much.
Like, that means I got to take care of my household and yours. That's a lot.
It is a lot, and this conversation for me is just it's indicative of a lot of the things that hold us back or hinders us as far as the Black community goes, because when you look at a lot of other communities, they reach up and give financial support.
Mm.
Black community, we reach down, we take care of our elders. Everybody's supposed to do that, but it's not even elders no more. People get on, they feel like they have to take care of mom, they have to take care of dad, they have to take care of their siblings, they have to take care of their auntie and their grandma. And it's just like, if you're starting to have this mindset before you even really get financially stable yourself, or you understand money, that's a big thing too. Before you even understand money, you have all these financial responsibilities that you feel you need to take care of. I feel like that is one way that you ensure that you never really truly move forward, or that
Right.
you make a lot of mistakes along the way. So I like the fact that we can start there. But my next question will be, oh, well, I'll say I don't think you I don't think you're financially responsible for anybody else in your family. I think you can help where you can. And that's your personal
Responsible part
preference.
is
You said what?
that responsible thing. That's a no. Like, wait a minute.
And I
Like,
use that word intentionally because a lot of times that's what people
yeah,
honestly feel. And that's what they're taught, is that you are financially responsible for these other adults in your life because you have access to other opportunities that they may not have had access to. So when you get to a position that they didn't get to in their lifetime, you are not responsible for
I know we're
them.
gonna get to it, but I was about to say you feel entitled to my
Mm,
stuff. Like,
mm,
no, no,
mm.
and no again. It's mine.
I'm gonna sip on that one. Okay. It is, but it's a whole mindset, because another part of this conversation that we'll also talk about is poverty mindset. And the
Hmm.
fact that me and my journey, I'm constantly having to break myself out of it, because it is one of those things that make you feel like you don't have enough,
That
because
thing got a hold on me. You hear me?
you
I
gotta
try to
hoard
break it
stuff.
though.
It's like, I hoard money, and it's
Yeah,
not like people praise it because it's like, oh, you know how to save your money. Not when you don't feel comfortable spending it
right. Like, I can't even buy nothing for myself because
and feel
I'm
not
scared.
feel guilty.
I'm
Yeah,
worried about like something could come around the corner and I don't have enough. Like, no, ain't nobody got time for that.
because you don't have a safety net. Oof, we're gonna get
And
there.
then
Okay.
okay.
Okay. All right. Um, what is your earliest memory of understanding money? Like when you understood the use of it, the purpose of it. What's your earliest memory?
Well, I'm just trying to think because I'm breaking it down because if I want to be completely honest, like um I really just like started to get like the true understanding of money. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but at I mean at I'm gonna say my earliest like I mean I remember being young and feeling like I want my own money, I need my own money type thing. But I don't know, I can't put an age on it, but I just remember like always wanting my own or whatever.
Yeah. Because it was just like I don't want to ask nobody.
That too. But even like just wanting to see it in my little purse, like even if it was like $5 or whatever, like just like being able to go in the store and be like, oh, I got my own money, I can buy
Mhm.
my own stuff.
I always ask questions that I ain't prepared to answer for.
It'd be
My
like,
earliest, I mean, I do this all the time. I just don't understand. My earliest memory of money. I have a few, you know what I'm saying? We all remember getting like 50 cent when the Debbie cakes in the store was still 50 cent.
I love that time.
Oh my God. You go in there and get you a Swiss roll or
I get an armful of stuff.
oh yeah, the 10-cent candy. So I remember, having knowing that process, or like when I did get money, I would save it to go to the store.
Mm,
I remember that. I also remember seeing my parents stressed out about money.
mm,
And that's kind of where my financial anxiety started too. So I
yeah.
remember it always being um a thing when the rent was due, a
Mm,
stressor. And then I remember when the landlord increased the rent and how
mm,
that changed the dynamic in the household as well. And I remember making a comment to my dad about, I was like, this stupid landlord. I had to be like 10 or something.
mm,
And he fussed me out because it was just like, but I remember that. And it's several other instances where I remember, just, and they weren't positive. They weren't, I don't have a lot of positive memories in my childhood when it comes to money.
mm.
So I'll leave that there and move
Yeah.
on to the, oh no, really? Cut that out. All right. So let's start with poverty mindset and
Okay.
discuss that. Um, I'll let you go first and kind of tell your financial background, your financial upbringing, and then how it is now, um, challenging some of those things that you were taught.
Um, okay, I'll start with, if I want to be honest, completely honest, like I feel like I blocked a lot of my childhood out because of trauma. Um
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But, from what I remember my mom not being there because she was the breadwinner and she took care of the family. So
Mm,
I remember
the family.
I remember going places with my family, and my mom would always send me with my own money. But I would remember being like, well, I got my own money, but you still gonna pay for it, like, you know. But at the same time, like now I can connect it to like maybe I need to save this for another chance,
Mm-hmm.
another moment or whatever, to help my mom or whatever, because she's always working.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I kind of grew up with that kind of mindset of like, oh, I need to help my mom. Like she works so hard and she does all this for the family, so I'm going to be the one that helps her.
Yeah.
Not knowing that was going to be like very detrimental to me later on down the line. But so yeah, so I mean, I grew up single mom. She worked long hours. I grew up with other family members, um and just seeing her being the breadwinner, so automatically in my mind I felt like, oh, that's what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get to a place where I can take care of the family.
Mm-hmm. Take some of
And
the burning off of my mama and help her.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just that has traveled into adulthood until I had to realize like, no ma'am, this is not your responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
um but yeah, so that that kind of that shaped me or whatever. Although it's not a bad thing that I grew up wanting to help my family, but at the same time, like being younger, like why was that burden on me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I have to do this. Like I can't do anything else but get a job and help the family. Like I have to be the one to take the burden off my mom. I have to be the one to help pay bills. Like at a young age, that's just like a lot.
That pressure is,
Yeah, and
oh my
if
goodness.
I even or want or having to choose between like, oh yeah, I want to go with my friends, or maybe I need to stay home and not ask for anything. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Like,
Ooh, not extra. Ooh,
yeah,
ooh,
man, yeah, man,
ooh.
yeah,
Oh, you hit a button.
yeah,
Oh man, not ask for anything. I definitely learned early on, like, okay, you don't ask. Because when I asked, I got called, oh, you a little spoiled or whatever. But it's just like I'm asking for simple stuff like a birthday party.
yeah,
But because we came from a low income background and money was such a commodity that we never had enough of,
yeah,
it every little bit counted. And so I remember these moments where I used to get money from like different places. So I told you the story,
yeah,
when we was coming up with this concept. So I got money from, every year for my birthday. And my grandmother, she would send like a check in the mail or whatever. And so every year you excited, ain't nothing but $10. Sometimes she would get a little fancy, it might be
that's a
20,
lot
you know what I'm
for
saying?
a kid.
It just, okay, feel like, however she was feeling.
Right,
But I knew, okay, let me get this money. I want to go and buy myself something for the store because again, I've learned to never ask for anything. So
right,
when I do have something available to me that I can go and purchase what I want, I'm gonna ask where it's at.
right,
So I remember, and I love you, mama, but I'm gonna tell this story. Um, I don't know what was going on in the household. I just know, like, money was always tight. And so we go to the grocery store, and that's where we cashed our checks, our birthday
right,
checks. And I asked her, I was like, hey, you said you was gonna hold on to this check. Like we at Piggly Wiggly. Let me go cash this little bad boy in and go get some chips or something. So
right,
I asked her where it was, and she got quiet. And then at that time, my older sister, she was also taking care of the household too, like helping my mom with the things. And so she got upset with me because I made my mom feel some type of way, but I had to be like 11, 12 at this point. I didn't
mhm,
understand,
right,
what I was asking.
right,
But what I, as I sat in the back and I'm crying because I'm like, I don't understand why y'all mad at me for
right,
asking about something that belongs to
right.
me.
It's fine.
So I don't, nobody was explaining it, but the more I
Yeah,
sat, back there, I realized I was like, well, okay, she must be buying food for the house.
yeah. You made a connection. Yeah,
I had to because nobody was talking to me about finances. Nobody was having those conversations. I learned through observing how
right,
other people, other adults treated money
right,
and interacted with money in my life. And it was always an anxiety around
yeah,
finances. And so I developed a mindset like, okay, well, if I get money, I need not tell anybody. I need to keep it to myself because I don't know when the next time I'm gonna get it. And
yeah,
if I do have it, people are gonna try to take it away from me.
yeah,
So, whew, poverty mindset for me means that when I do have more than enough, I don't feel like I have enough.
yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like at any moment, because I don't have a financial safety net, if I don't have it, then I am failing myself in the dreams I have for my life. So, for example, I just went on a solo trip and I'm sitting there, I already booked my Airbnb, tank, full of gas. I got, more than enough money, but I had to stare at my bank account
yeah.
to put myself in a mindset like you do not have to put yourself on a budget. You are
Right,
okay. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. You
right.
only here for 4 days and you still wouldn't be able to put a dent in what you have. Like it is okay to spend this money and not feel guilty.
Yeah,
Having those talks with myself often makes a difference, but it's the fact that I have to have the talk with
yeah.
myself.
That's the yeah, yeah. That's the part right there. When you were talking, I started to remember some things. It was like, if I did ask or or if I did overhear conversation, I could hear the cringe. You know,
Mm.
you can hear it. You know, it was really loud, and so it made me think like, okay, I don't need to ask, or whatever I get, I need to have it for me and not ask my mom. Or on the also on the other side of that is just like my mom telling me a lot like you go get your own money and you don't ask for anything.
Mhm.
And but then even like on the other side she'll say but you can ask me. But I'm just like, if all these
Mhm.
other people are asking you, there's no room for me to ask you. And
Yeah.
then if I hear the cringe all the time, I
I
don't
don't
want
want
to
to
ask you
ask.
because you're gonna cringe with me too. So it's just like, okay. So then in return, that made me, become a part of the hustle committee
Mm.
where
Chairman right here.
all I know is the hustle, all I know is the grind. Like no matter how many jobs I gotta have,
Mhm.
I always have my own. I always take care of myself, and I always reach back to help others. Like no matter what's going on, like
And never ask for help.
I never ask for help.
Mm.
Like I can never ask for help. You know what I'm saying? Even if people say, "Oh, you can ask me," like I don't trust it.
You don't trust it.
I be like, can I
I
really?
heard that before.
Right? Can I really ask you that or whatever? So that
Yeah.
was my poverty mindset. And then now that you said something about the solo trip, I have one coming up, and I've been cringing ever since I made the decision. Like
Mhm.
every day is something that comes up, and I'm like, nope, we're still going. Nope, we're still gonna, we're still gonna look. We're still gonna look for the Airbnb or the room or whatever. Like we're still
Mhm.
gonna go, but it's just like something that's like, no, you shouldn't go. No, you need to save this money.
You right for what? What
Like
am I
I'm like,
saving it
for
for?
what? Like my bills are paid. Like what? Like what is it? And I work, so I'm just like, what is it?
Hard. I work hard,
For
and
real.
the crazy part is, it's like you'll know, you know what I'm saying, the right answer, but it's just that it's that mechanism in you that, like I said, because I am so anxious when it comes to
Yeah.
finances, it doesn't matter. The logic is there, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, okay, I can still try to talk myself out of it. It's like,
Yep.
okay, well, you in the middle of a transition, you transitioning jobs, so you don't
Mhm.
know when your next job going, you know,
Yep.
give you the amount of money that you've been making.
All of it.
You gotta save it. So it's just like you have that internal voice that is telling you that you're never safe.
Yep.
And the crazy part about that, because we'll get to
Even when
that,
you know you're safe,
even when you know
doesn't
it's okay.
you're never safe.
I don't know if I was talking to you, I was talking to somebody, it was probably you, but I was saying like, God has never let me down when it came to finances.
Never,
Never.
never,
Like,
never.
y'all, I have been down to my last little bit of
Things
money.
always come through.
And he'll come through that next day with I can't sit on this mic and tell y'all. I have never been one of those people that had to look at how much money was in my bank account. You know what I'm saying? To see how much money I'm be able to put in gas, or worry about food, or stuff like that. I worry about it because I have financial anxiety. And I'm not saying that I haven't been in a position where, I hadn't had to do things because I had a lack of money. But when it came out to me actually going out and being on my own, having my own place or sharing it with you, or having my own car, when it came to those like real big stuff, I've never had a moment where I wasn't able to take care of my bills.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just trying to get myself to understand, like, it's gonna be all right.
The unlearning.
It's gonna be okay.
Sheesh.
How does your financial mindset affect your connections with other people?
Mm.
Specifically like romantic ones. If you have someone who isn't on your same
Ooh, Jesus.
mindset.
Listen, don't if you don't know how to manage your money, we can't talk. Like, and I say that like as far as like you're not even making sure
Is
you're
your mic on?
yeah.
You sure? Oh yeah, I see the green light. Okay, cool, cool.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you just got low at one point. I was just like, what
I
is?
don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, just talk directly into the middle. It's
Um,
fine.
just remembering like a situation where I was like the breadwinner or whatever. And like even if the person got some money, like they went to the mall or something, I'm just like
So
it doesn't click to you like that you should give me the money first that I pay the bills. Like no, okay. But I also I mean that just reminds me of like my mom. Like it's literally a generational thing. Like my mom was a breadwinner in all of her relationships. She took care of everything. She didn't require them to step up and do anything. Like she did
mhm.
everything. And I'm just like, nah. But I I see that that was like my story too in all of my relationships. Like I did everything. It was just like, oh, you're not gonna step up, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make sure stuff is taken care of
Right.
instead of just like saying like, okay, if I got to do this by myself, like you don't even deserve to be here anyway. But whatever. That's another topic. But
Ew, it's on par. It's on par with this one.
but yeah, like you have to know how to steward your finances. Like, and I say, like, pay your bills on time. Like, money has to matter to you. Like, not just, oh, I'm gonna get it back so I can go spend all my check. Like, no, like, pay your bills and put money back and like be literate.
Liz,
Like,
you
you have to know.
you know what the crazy part is? Cause and I guess it just clicked with me when you just said that. The paying the bills on time, I will wait to the last minute to pay my bills. Unless it's already like I used to. Well, with
Mhm.
some stuff I used to. Cause now I just have it automatically come out
Right.
my account. Because of the financial anxiety being so bad, even if I have it, I don't want to pay it. It's
Yeah, I
stupid. It's
I
stupid.
find myself doing that too, and I just be like, bro, what are you? What like
What
you
is,
don't
what,
even
what
owe
is
me
this?
money? Like why? Like what is this connection that or disconnect? Like
And
what
then
is
you got to end up paying the late fee because, girl, what was you doing?
or like when you get that like alert in your mind to be like, okay, go ahead and pay this bill. You know, it's time to
Hmm.
pay the bill or whatever, and you put it off like instead of doing it like right away.
But
Like
you put it off because you don't want to think about finances.
I mean, I know that, but I'm
And
just
it's
saying.
crazy.
I'm like, bro, you still gonna have to pay it regardless.
You're going to be homeless. You keep
But that's
out.
how anxiety works, man.
Hmm. Avoidance. You don't want to deal with it. And so you procrastinate into the last minute. And you end up making the situation worse when it could have been a different kind of, mindset that you came into it with. So, um, that threw me off. I'm sorry.
I also with that too. I also like try to affirm myself.
Yeah.
So so I kind of like started to speak affirmations over myself, like just saying like money always comes directly to me.
Mhm.
I'm gonna always have money to pay my bills. Like I'm never gonna lack. But you just have to like unlearn a lot of stuff and you have to retrain your mind and reroute your thoughts because like
Yes.
it's really, really bad like
Yeah.
as far as financial anxiety goes.
One thing I tell myself is you are safe. You are
Yeah,
safe.
that
You are
too.
safe. Like I have to repeat that so much. And
You write that down because that's something else I tend to forget to
what
say
you are
sometimes.
safe.
Yeah,
You
I
are
don't tell
safe.
myself it in another way, but I need to say it just like that.
Right. Cuz it's like even sometimes I feel like I'm not trusting myself to take care of myself. It's like, girl, you have
Yeah,
always came through for
always.
yourself. So why
Like,
aren't you trusting that you are safe with yourself and safe to make
ooh.
financially sound decisions? Like, yeah.
No, I just thought about something like as far as like telling myself that I'm safe, like I'm also welcoming in safe people.
Mhm. Mhm.
Ooh,
Mhm.
come on
Who
here.
make
Come
safe.
on here. Making room for the safety. Come on here.
One thing I did think about was even so we're talking about having manifesting and coming into like a hyper independency, right? One that you don't want to depend on nobody.
Right.
You don't want to go too much out. A lot of times I wasn't taking risk because I wanted to always be in this safe space of hoarding money.
Mm-hmm.
But still starting from my childhood and learning that I didn't want to be a financial burden, so I started working around like 16. And
Mm-hmm.
when I started working around 16, I've been working ever since.
Yep.
a lot of my life decisions, and that'll be the where we're transitioning into. A lot of my life decisions were influenced by how I viewed money.
Mm-hmm.
So I was making the safe choice. I was making the
Yep.
practical choice. I was
Yep.
making the choice that was going to allow me to get that financial freedom that I wanted to have. And I'm not saying I regret those decisions, but looking back on a lot of them, I wasn't doing things for the enjoyment of it. I was strictly and solely looking at the financial gain. And
Yep.
I found myself being miserable
Yeah.
in a lot of those decisions because I wasn't looking at myself as a person and what I wanted and what I needed outside of money.
Right.
So I wanted to ask, how do you think that your financial mentality has influenced your life decisions?
It has it has really like kept me bound because like everything was tied to money. But I feel like I was listening to a sermon series or something, but like not making money an idol anymore. It's like
Mm,
everything is based off money. But when you like relinquish control and know that you're taken care of, like regardless, it changes your mindset and just like, okay, like no matter how much I have in my bank account, like I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
and it's like money is gonna flow to me. But I am not defined by the money in my bank account.
Hmm. I still struggling with that. I'm still struggling with it because
I
it's just
mean,
like,
I admit too, but I just have to continue to like. Even the other day, I think I paid a bill or whatever, and I just sat there and I prayed because I was like, Lord, like this is really like hard to let go of this stronghold of like feeling like, yo, if I pay this bill, then I'm lacking, or even
mm-hmm,
though I see the money in my bank account, but you know what I'm saying, I'm
mm-hmm,
just like, yo, I can't live like this no more. Like
yeah.
I had to tell myself, I'm like, you are not defined by this number.
A lot of times we talk about putting our self worth wrapping it around, the romantic love that we get. So many of us wrap our self worth up with an amount in our bank account.
Yeah.
We'll be quick to say, I don't need no man, I buy it for myself. And
Or
that
if I can afford that
mentality,
bag,
it's nothing
this
wrong with
thing,
you, expressing that I don't need your help. I can do it for myself. But where is it really coming from, too? Because what if I do need some help?
or
Does
what
that
if
make
I
me
want
less?
help? Like what
What
if
if
I
I want help? Does that make me less
right?
of a boss ass woman?
No, it
That I
doesn't.
get into a season in my life where I might need some help
It
or I
makes you
want
even more
it.
of a boss to ask for help though. But that's what we
Hmm.
don't know and what we don't realize. Like for
Yeah.
you to say, okay, I'm dropping my pride in this moment and I'm gonna ask for help. Like that's so empowering, but we see it as weak.
And listen, I don't do it. I mean, I've gotten better with like asking for some stuff because this is whole movement, especially with
Yeah.
our community,
Mhm.
black women, where it's just like you asking for the guy to pay for different stuff like that, and I'm just like I've never been that kind of woman. It is not because I don't know my worth. That's
Uh-huh.
not even a part of the conversation. It's because I've never known how to be dependent on anybody financially.
Don't know how to receive it.
I don't know how to do it. And so I've been slowly training myself to like, okay, girl, don't pull out your wallet.
Listen, there's been moments where I have asked, but like it made me nauseous to ask. Like and
Mm,
in the moment, I was just like, I'm like, wait, if I'm giving up the goods,
child.
I should be able to ask you for whatever. Cause baby, that's a pot of gold. but
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just saying, like if we are involved or we're in a relationship or whatever, I should not have anxiety to ask you for anything.
It's a two-edged
But also,
sword.
but also, you should make me feel safe enough so that I can come to you for whatever I need.
Exactly. I think that it's both, at least in my situation, not only from how I initially learned about like finances and being able to depend on other people, but especially when I started my romantic relationships. Those men weren't dependable. Like I was, even though I was starting out and I wasn't making that much, I was still the breadwinner.
Yeah, man.
So it was just like when you get into a habit of this message that I can't trust anybody financially. I don't have a
Okay.
safety net. I
Where
can't
that come
depend
from?
on anybody. You keep even when you can't get somebody who you might be able to depend on,
Guess where that
you
come
are
from?
so stuck in your way sometimes. What you say?
I said, guess where that come from? I said because I realized that I was dating my dad.
Child.
So in more ways than one, but I'm just like my mama was the breadwinner. My dad was never there, and that was displayed in all of my relationships.
Or my dad was the breadwinner, but he would keep his money for himself.
Well,
And so my mom had to be the financially responsible
come on
one
here,
and
come
stable
my
one.
front door right now. But
Okay. I
well,
mean,
not
because
mine.
let's
But
talk about it. I
yeah,
mean, a lot of times eh,
because
it's
either
like one
you or
extreme or not.
you.
Like
Yeah,
it's really
can we have a happy medium?
it's one extreme or not. Either the guy is going to be the breadwinner and he thinks that he doesn't have to do other
Yeah,
things as a part of the household, or either he doesn't even engage in making a financially sound and stable
yeah,
home. And so I'm just like, I've never seen
never seen.
in my personal life
Nope.
equality, a partnership. You know what
Oh,
I'm saying? And
no.
so it's hard for me to trust a lot
Yeah,
of the people that come into my life. And that's one of the things I asked early on because I was having a financial talk with a coworker the other day. He was telling, the
yeah,
whatever. But I was just like, for me, I want a partnership. I
yeah.
don't want my partner to feel like they have to take care of all the big bills.
Right,
If they want to take care of all the big bills, that's cool. But they're gonna know they have a financially sound partner. If
right.
something happens in our household, I'm gonna be just as willing and just as ready to take care of those things as they are. So that's what I want. That's never something I have seen though. And so
Mhm.
one of the questions I ask when I get into these connections and these relationships or whatever, you have a savings account? The amount of men
Say no.
who do not have a savings account, why you don't save money? And I get
But
that I do it.
and even if it's a point of you may not have a lot of money in your savings account, it's the fact that you have one open, so you expect to save one day.
The expectation to do it. Um, Having to teach other people, not just romantic partners, but even family members,
Oh man,
financial literacy while you're still trying to figure it out yourself.
man, listen here.
Whew. Okay. Good. Um, yeah. Do you feel like you do that? Or have done that where you're trying to teach someone else financial literacy and you still ain't figuring it all out yourself?
This mm, I haven't I haven't taught. Only thing I can say is I've taught is my mom. I've taught her feel to learn how to feel safe. Like, and I don't
Yeah.
want her depend on me, but I'm just like create the space where you can feel safe and know that okay, my bills are paid, and I don't have to reach back all the time, or I
Hmm.
don't have to come through for everybody. Like sometimes you could just take care of you and your household, and that is okay. But of
Yeah.
course, like her mind said, it's just like, oh, I have to, if somebody comes to me for help, I can't tell them no, because I had to unlearn that too. It's just like I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not trying to hoard it and be like, oh, but sometimes it is hoarding. But at the same time, I had to learn like it can be a healthy balance. Like sometimes I can help you. Okay, cool. But every time, that's not my responsibility. I can't come through for you every time.
And I'm gonna have to pray about the mentality that I be in when it do it when people do come and ask, because I'm just like, you've been here longer than me on this world in this world. A lot of times, you my mentor, you didn't help raise me in some way. Everybody has a life choice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're constantly depending on someone else financially who is still trying to figure it out themselves, what are you doing to help yourself? What choices are you making that are keeping you in this situation? And what are you doing to get yourself out of it? That'd be my thing. Cause I'm just like, I don't mind helping, but I like helping people that like helping themselves. If you're
Yeah.
not helping yourself and you expect me who had no help,
Yeah.
no safety net.
Yeah. Had
You know
no
what I'm
help.
saying?
still has no help.
Still to come in and rescue you, put this cape on and come in and swoop in with these dollars that I had to do all kinds of stuff to earn. I just want to know, how are you helping yourself too?
Yeah.
And that's not, I get how that exaggerated mentality is what keeps a lot of people from being able to get what they need, the help they need. But I do want people to have a personal accountability when it comes to that
Yeah.
too, because you don't get in the habit of being dependent on somebody else,
Right.
and it's your responsibility. You did say something, and we did touch on it briefly earlier about the, helping up and helping down. But that's one of the big things in our Black community, where it's just like, when you look at other communities, and I didn't mention it before, but they leave wealth, right? They leave
Yeah.
property. So that's a lot of times what helps young adults get their start. They'll be able to stay in a house and not have to worry about rent. They'll be able to sell that property and be able to pay for other things. They'll be able to, lean on you know, their parents or grandparents financially. A lot of times they won't even leave home until they're ready to, like, start a career or get married.
Yeah.
With us, it's so different. I don't know if I've ever really seen that happen, where a lot of times somebody will die, they ain't got no will. Now you got to figure out how you gonna bury them, and that's a
It's
whole
so much, man. So much.
financially, that's a whole big responsibility that now someone who is trying to start their life is trying to take care of. I read this article, and I'll find it and put it in the notes, where this girl was talking about how she, she was in college and her dad got sick. He passed away, that he didn't have any health insurance. So now her mom and her family was leaning on her to help chip in to bury him. The money she had been saving up was not only for her tuition, but for her first house. So
Man.
what are we doing to help each other and not be a continued, because that's how these cycles and these generational cycles continue. The generational cycle of poverty continues because we do not allow the people who are capable of breaking that cycle to do it,
Yeah,
because we
you
depend on them so
like
heavily.
like I said, it's some kind of entitlement. It's just like, oh, I'm entitled to what you make or what you have. or
Child.
I took it's I hear this a lot. I took care of you, so you owe me. Huh?
And sometimes it's not that blatant either. So, another story. I I'd be hard, but I want to be honest. But it'd be hard for me to, like, I don't want people to get the wrong
No,
light.
that wasn't a personal quote. That was just her. Just putting that out there. My mom didn't say that, but she kind of said it in another way.
I
But
would say sometimes it's unspoken, and one of the
right.
unspoken ways I encounter. So we both joined the services, right?
Mhm.
You remember how that whole
Yeah,
situation was?
man.
Nobody was
Both of us.
supportive. Nobody really was supportive.
Uh,
They didn't like the idea of me going into the services or whatever. But once everything got settled, I did have someone come, and they were excited that one of their coworkers has a daughter that was in the services, and they were just like, "Yeah, um, their daughter sends them a monthly stipend out of her check." So that was something they wanted me to do.
That's
So
not
now I'm going off the basic training, and I'm supposed to be focusing on graduating and getting through this hellhole,
right.
making sure I'm good, and I'm worrying about how I'm gonna get money back to, you know, my household. And so I asked about it, and they were just like, "Well, the position that you're in, you can't do that." But for me to then learn that no matter what I have going on, that financially I'm somewhat responsible for another person.
And I'm never gonna have that moment where I'm just focused on me. Like,
Never. The reason why I got my first job was so that I could take care of my senior supplies. I could take care of all the things that were coming up financially in my, you know, teen years, graduating from high school, so that the burden didn't fall on my household.
yeah,
Every decision I made was to not be a burden or to help someone else. And so,
that's how it was. Like when I went to college, like of course, parents like, oh, we're here for you, whatever. But it's like the cringe. hearing the cringe was like more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, I'm in college and I need stuff. Um, and then like I started getting the look, the side eye, or the like I said, the cringe moments or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I'm over this. So let me go get a job. Let me go do some stuff for myself because I can't do this no more. But I noticed that, once I started making my money, I was like, okay, I'm gonna put more hours on the check.
Ooh,
Okay.
it's like that. It's a different kind of greed you get.
Yeah. I'm a
Mhm.
work this many hours. But then of course like school started lacking. I was just like, I don't even want to be in school. Like I just want to work because I want to have my own money.
That was a real discussion we had plenty of times. I was like, I don't have to finish this degree and do what I want to do. I can go ahead and do it, just make
Yeah.
money. I'm spending money anyway, which is fine, which is fair. You know what I'm saying? Because college is not for everyone. But I
Mhm.
am so glad I made a decision to stay and to finish my degree.
Right.
Because the things I want to do require a
Right.
degree, and a secondary degree at that. So I don't know. It's. Let's move on.
It's heavy, man.
Whew.
A lot. It's a lot to unpack.
Would you consider your parents financially literate at this point?
No. And I say that because, like I said, my mom is still in the mentality of, oh, I can't say no. Oh, I got to reach back. And I can't, and she still doesn't know how to take care of herself. Like, she won't do anything for herself. Um,
Which is a part of being financially literate that a lot of
yeah,
people
she won't,
seem not
but
to
like,
understand.
she'll do stuff for other people. Like, she'll go out, like, she'll blow a check on somebody else,
Hmm.
but she won't blow a check on herself. And I'm just like, bro, like, do you know like what you've done all your life? Like, girl, if you don't go book a trip, but like I believe like the same talks and conversations I have in my mind, she has in her mind, and she feels like she can't do that.
Yeah.
Um, but also on the other side of the spectrum, we have um men that won't step up to the plate,
Hmm.
and they'll spend money on whatever they feel. But when it comes to the household, it's like, oh, I know she's gonna take care of that, so I can go spend my money. Like,
Child.
sir, make it make sense.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a no. So I'm just like, it's up to me to become financially literate, and once I learn what I'm supposed to learn, and then share the information. But it's hard to be the parent to the parents, man. Like,
Mm. I understand. I mean, at this point, I don't know. Like I don't know. I think because I mean, of course, my dad isn't here no more. He wasn't. Point blank period. Johnny know he wouldn't. I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? But I think my mom has always somewhat been financially literate, but because she does the same thing where she worries about everyone else,
mm,
puts herself last, and then she because she has financial anxiety,
yeah,
it manifests itself in a different way where she is dependent now on other people, not to make the money, not to make the money because she always makes it,
mm-hmm,
but to as far as like take care of the bills, she's always put someone else in charge of that aspect of it to make sure things get taken care of. And I don't she's never felt comfortable with money. And
mm-hmm.
I think that's a big part of being financially literate is knowing that you are the one that's in control and not the money.
Right, right,
And I don't think she understands that concept yet, because if she did, she would do a lot more for herself, and she would feel a lot more free
yeah,
to spend money instead of always constantly feel like she has to take care of a household that is not just belonging to her. It's not just her household, it's other adults, a part of it. And it's other people who play a significant part in, the bills and the responsibilities and stuff like that. So I, I don't know.
yeah. I believe. I mean, my mom, she, she I believe she has good money management skills. she, of course, she knows how to pay her bills, and she, is gonna go to work to pay her bills. But
Mm,
as far as like the whole the whole mindset of like, okay, well, I know it's because she doesn't feel safe. I'm gonna
mm-hmm.
start there. So it's just like feeling like, oh, I can take days off for myself, for self care, or I can take a moment to breathe and not feel like I have to be in control in this moment. Um, is the part that I feel like she's missing. It's like she, of course, can manage the money, but as far as
Right.
like creating a space where it's like, okay, I have enough money where I can pay my bills and take care of me too.
Yeah. Cause it's like you said, and I have that thing too, where it's just like when it comes to other people, oh, I got it, I'll do it. When it comes to me, maybe I could use this
Yeah,
money for something else. Maybe someone
like
else needs it. And
obvious.
then when I do it for myself, I feel this overwhelming feeling of guilt.
Yeah,
It's gotten better throughout the years, but I feel guilty, like, oh my God. I can't tell you how many, like, we've been went on a couple of cruises before. I'm calling my mom. Mom, I'm gonna make sure I do this for you. I went on like a mountain retreat one time. Mom, is so beautiful here. I wish you could see it. And hearing her wanting to have that experience, I didn't feel responsible to give it to her.
yeah,
And so then I had to get in the mindset where it's just like, girl, can you experience stuff first?
yeah,
Can you enjoy the moment that you are having without feeling guilty? And if you want to then go and help someone else have this experience, that's fine, but it's not your responsibility to give it to them.
right.
You ain't balling like that yet. If you was
Okay.
rich, it would be different.
I was thinking about when you talk about the fact of like when you went to basic and you were always worried about the household, like
Mhm.
that was me too. Like when I went on deployment, like
Oh, deployment too, yeah.
I literally paid the bills in the house for like probably like 4 or 5 months,
Mm,
and I could not enjoy like being on the deployment and being like, okay, I'm saving money, I'm doing this. Like
mhm.
I was always having to be like, okay, I'm gonna pay these bills and I'm gonna send my mama some money. Like
Cause sidebar, y'all. Just cause y'all see a uniform don't mean that it's a big bank account behind that. Y'all got the game messed up. I don't know what it is
it
about.
was times where like I remember when I first went, like I sent my mom basically like my whole check and was just like, I'm gonna go to the DFAC or whatever, like, until the next check or whatever. And I was
Mhm.
just like, bro, like that burden, ooh, that burden, man. I was
It
just
oh,
like,
it's a weight on your chest.
yeah. But then it's just like if you don't do it, then oh, all the thoughts of like, okay, if I don't do this, then who will? Then what's gonna happen if I don't
Mhm.
do this? It's just like, man, it's just so much responsibility that we put on ourselves, and I'm just like, this can't happen anymore. you know, I'm just like, nah, I
Something gotta
won't be there.
change. Something gotta be better.
Yeah, but
And I look at the next generation in my family and how the mindset is manifesting with that.
yeah,
Do they feel responsible to the household? Do they feel responsible financially for adults when
no,
they're not even an adult themselves?
no,
And I have to step back and like, what am I doing to contribute to this mindset, or what am I doing to break it?
showing
You
them
know,
different.
because I don't have no kids, and so I'm just like, how much do you say? You know what I'm saying? Do you call it out? How do you call it out? Because the answer is always yes, but how do you go about it? Because then somebody else might feel like you insulting their intelligence and their parenting skills. I'm just like, it's a lot.
I believe that it's not gonna always be received through words.
Hmm.
And by us breaking the cycle in our lives, that then creates, another way. And just like, oh, she did it differently. So
Hmm.
maybe I can too do it differently. So I
I
believe.
did it differently, but I still contributed to
No,
it.
well, I mean, I know that, but I'm saying like now that we're, starting to progress a little bit more and, think think differently now. It's just like, okay, I can put action behind what I'm saying and be like, okay, like I'm not living like this anymore. Like I am going to show them that there is different out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I say that often. Like the paths I've taken haven't just been for me, and granted, I don't regret any of them because I still made sure on some level that I wanted to do a lot of this stuff. But I
Yeah.
knew the purpose behind it was also to be visible
Mm,
for the younger generation in my family to know, like, okay, these different opportunities and choices and paths are available to you if you choose, and
mhm.
I'll be there to help guide you through those things.
Right.
But I do say that I do hold myself accountable on some level because the ways that I've helped financially, not, just money, but like, doing things, I don't know if that's helped or hindered. I don't know if seeing that part of my interaction has in some way made them feel like, oh, that's what I should be doing too when I get to that level.
That too.
So,
So I feel you.
what has being broke taught you?
To never be broke again. Like,
That real? That's real. That's I was so broke in college. I didn't have enough money to get toilet tissue. So you know what I used to do? I used to go in the public bathrooms in the buildings and roll that put that in my book bag and go back to the apartment or the dorm. Yeah.
yeah, that
Never be
I
broke
don't have
again.
nothing else to say. That's really what it is to never be broke again.
Never be broke. And if I do get broke, I've paid it forward enough that I'm gonna ask somebody for some help somewhere.
Yeah, like if I yeah, breaking that cycle, that cycle of not asking. Like
Hmm.
if I ever get to the point where I am down to my last or down bad, like knowing that it's okay to say I need help.
Hmm.
So yeah.
When did you first feel like financially responsible, like you had a grasp on it and that you weren't allowing like financial anxiety to rule your life and expectations of your family to like rule your life?
This year,
Yeah.
like I kind of just like made the conscious choice to say no, and not saying like I pray for discernment a lot because in some moments, I feel like sometimes God is like, no, go ahead and give them something that they need. They're in need, cool.
Mhm.
But also, I be like, God, is this really a time where I need the help, or do they need to figure it out? So
Mhm.
I try to make sure that I pray about it first, because I also don't want to start or continue a cycle where you just always depending on me, like you always coming to me for
Yeah.
money. It's just like, okay, you're doing this a little bit too much. So yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that I think it started a couple of years ago, but as far as like getting a real good grasp on it, it's been this year, and still sometimes
Yeah.
it slipped through my fingers. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I had a situation where my mom, she hit me up and she was having some issues with her, finances. That weren't it wasn't her fault, but she asked me, for some money for basic stuff.
Yeah.
And I immediately felt guilty. I was like, she should never have to ask me for money. I should always make sure that I'm sending her something. I'm just like, one side of me was saying that, the other side was just like, this is just the mindset that you just broke yourself out of. How are you getting back here, making yourself again
Up that
responsible?
bag of responsibility. Oh, I'm
It's your
responsible.
mom. You love her. You
Okay.
want to make sure that she's never put in a position where this stuff is happening. But at the same time, stop putting yourself in charge of what happens to other people. That's not what happened to her is not your fault. It's
Your
not her
fault.
fault. It's nobody's fault. But you blaming yourself
Right.
because you feel like you've experienced other things that they have not yet experienced and you feel guilty for it. So you always revert back to blaming yourself whenever something happens.
Oh, I
And
okay. Sorry.
yeah. So it's a constant. case by case, day by day kind of
Yeah.
situation.
I was
um,
going back to what you were saying about like when we go somewhere and you feel guilty because oh, my mom doesn't get to do this or whatever.
child,
Or if
every
I
time.
call, if I do something, I call her and I'll get that
Th-
salad or be like,
I sure wish.
I wish I could do, or be like, oh, you fancy, and I'm like,
Right.
what? What? And mind you, like this was like our basic trips of going to the beach.
Oh, this before I really got fancy now because when I go on a vacation, I vacation.
But I'm saying, like, if you think the beach is fancy, like, just wait till what you see coming up next. And I'm just like, you too can have this lifestyle. Like, you too can
hmm
go places by yourself. Like, you don't always have to feel like you got to take us with you, take somebody with you,
hmm
or feel guilty for it. But I'm breaking one cycle at a time here.
We gonna do a whole episode on solo things
Yeah,
and talk about being
have
in
that
your
experience.
own energy.
I'll really be able to talk about it soon. So yeah,
Being in your own energy, and I know that it's easier for some people than others, but yeah. Um, what's the biggest purchase you've made?
uh, I want to say my car
hmm
was the biggest. The other big one coming soon. I'm gonna go ahead and put that out there. Get my dream home. But yeah, my first. Well, I think so. I think that's the biggest purchase I've made, other than
I
this
asked that for a
apartment.
reason.
I know,
Yeah.
other than this apartment. I think that was a whole thing too. Buying my first car, I was so scared.
Girl, it's just like
I was like, knowing that I had the job and the money to pay for it, but I was just like, how am I gonna do this, girl? You don't drive that car from that parking lot.
even my car was a safe choice. Now, granted, I wanted it. I wanted it, but
Same here.
I
Same.
know it was a safe choice because now I want another car, and I'm just like, the car I want is not I'm not gonna say it's not a safe choice, but I'm reluctant to do it because I'm just reluctant to do it financially,
Yeah.
even though I'm okay and I could. So it's just like that's how I know my car was a safe choice. But every big purchase I've made, car, this
Yeah.
computer that I'm on,
Yeah.
it takes
All of
me
it.
3 to 5 business months to
Yeah.
marry to an idea that okay, you can purchase this. I will want something for that long before I give myself permission to buy it.
Crystal. What you already know in my situation with my car, like I was driving my other car and it was basically falling apart. And I had ended up like driving my dad's truck to work. And I
hmm
knew that I needed a car. But it did, and then also too, like I wanted another kind of car, and I went with the safe choice. And like now, I love my car. Don't get me wrong, but every day, like I'm not gonna say every day, but every once in a while, I'll be like, this ain't really what you want. Like this ain't what you wanted, or whatever. And so like I tell myself now, I'm like, you know what? We're not settling for nothing else. Like nothing else. Like I'm getting the house that I want. I'm getting the next car is gonna be what I want. Like
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't do it no more.
Even down from being in transition, knowing I'm supposed to move out from where I'm at, and I still haven't moved yet because again, this apartment was a safe choice. And so
Guess what we doing in June?
taking some
We
risks, moving.
packing.
We gonna do it.
I'm gonna buy you some boxes. Don't worry about it. We
Hey,
about to make these moves,
I
bro.
need to get rid of some stuff first. Oh,
Yeah, you do. You do. Cause
I got so much stuff. It
you
is
got
not
so much.
funny when I think about it. Um, let me see what I haven't asked. I ain't put none of these in order. Oh, what's the cheapest date you ever been on? Like when you was broke.
Probably us just going to the food court.
Going to Wendy's.
Oh yeah, Wendy's. Go get me some nuggets and a fried man. Listen,
Yo, and a frosty, $3.
probably us. Romantic. What?
I've had a few. Ice cream in the park. That's probably the cheapest you gonna get. Mm. Hey, Applebee's count. They're 2 for 20 when it was
Oh,
here.
that Applebee's. I almost forgot about Applebee's. Get that sampler.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if we actually like talked in depth. So, what were your financial experiences like as a young adult, whether it be a college student or a graduate?
The financial
How do we make our
burden of
household
going to
run?
college, huh?
How did me and you make it work? Like when we moved in together, like we would just, I would get the check for rent, pay the cell phone bill.
You
We
said
would always have groceries. We made it work. God.
I mean, but if I'm honest, like early on, I noticed that you had trust issues. And so, and like, but I don't say that in a bad way. Like, I understand, like, we were still strangers and learning each other, but like,
Wait,
I,
how early on we talking?
huh?
How early on we talking?
Like, when we became roommates in college or whatever,
Oh, freshman year. Okay, okay.
and when I would do stuff for you, like, and you didn't really know how to receive it. And I used to be like, bro, like, you family. Cause like, I don't let a lot of people in, but I'm just like, we living together. So we basically family. So I'm just like, whatever she need, I got her. But I think it was because of like, the financial history and stuff, and how like I don't know. I guess like you didn't have a lot of those experiences where people like, was like, I got you. So, and I was just
Besides
like,
my sister, Tammy
yeah,
always
but I'm like, as
had.
far as like a friend and and me, us being roommates, I was just like, bro, like whatever you need, like I got you. Like, and like I can think about it now. I'm like, I came through the gate swinging because I was like, no, I'm gonna buy you food. No, I'm gonna buy you this. Like,
Yeah. It was hard for me, and I think we had this discussion a couple of years back, but it was hard for me because I was in that mindset not to be dependent on anybody,
yeah,
but I was so broke I had to be. Like, and so that kind of has fed into my financial journey now, where it's just like, or a couple of years back or a year or two back, where I was just like, I was not going to be dependent on anybody because I had to be so dependent
hmm
on you and my sister,
yeah,
and I didn't like the feeling of
yeah.
not having.
I
And
understand.
so it's like I can't even get no job. I ain't got no car. You know what I'm saying? It was just like it was a bad space for me to be in. And I promised myself like I would never go back there. But I'm glad that, we've had that experience. I just realized, getting mature in this journey, like, okay, it was good that you were able to depend on somebody. Like, it's okay for
Hmm
you to not now be hyper independent because you had that experience. It wasn't a bad experience. You
That's
didn't
why I
like the
always
feeling of it
Yeah,
just because
I
you were
always say
taught to not
like
be
God
dependent.
literally put us like together because like even though I was like creating a safe space for you, like in another season, you had to create a safe space for me. It's like it was always like the tables were turning, but like
Hmm.
we were both learning together. It's just like a lot of moments where, I may have fell on hard times and you just like, Kira, like I got you, like bro, I got you. It's like, but it's just all the part of like the unlearning experience. But I was just like, yeah, we had some moments where we had to be like, okay, get out your mind. Like, this is what true love looks like. Like,
Yeah, because by the time we moved into an apartment, it was just like clockwork.
yeah, it was
You know what I'm
second.
saying?
Yeah.
And so even
Because
having
even with
that,
that, I remember when I told you when you was living with your sister, and I was like, "Bro, I'm about to get this
oh
apartment. We can
yeah.
live together." And like, yo, y'all, this girl, like, she was quiet for like a good 20 minutes. Like, I was like, "Hello." I was like, "Crystal, we gonna be good." Like, and
She
I was just
proposed
like,
to me, y'all.
"Yeah." I was running down a list of like how we could make it work, and like I could tell like she was so scared, but I was like, "Bro, we gonna be fine." Like,
I don't even think I gave you an answer. What I do know, so this is when I
no,
first,
you did, and you got off the phone, and I don't know what you did, but
you
then
were there talking to me. You was in person. We went on the phone.
no, I remember being on the phone with you at one point, and then you text me, and you was like, I was going, you text me, and you said you would do it. And then I told you I
Wow.
was at the building to get the pay the rent to
Uh-huh.
for us to move
Oh,
in,
you
and
so you might
I
have
remember,
swung by after that.
yeah.
Okay, so uh, anything that like financial, I have to put it into perspective. So I wrote down everything. When I was going to college, I wrote down all the scholarships I had, like how much I was gonna have left. By the time I went into that lady office, she was like, "Oh my god, you just so ugly, big girl." Yes, I don't play about this. Like I did the same thing there. Like you said, "Oh yeah, you got it. We gonna make it work." No, I had to see it. I had to see how much we was gonna be spending, how much it was gonna cost, how much I was gonna have left over, and that's how I was able to give you that yes. But
Hmm.
yeah. Moving forward, what have you
But
learned about?
we are here.
We here though.
We made it.
What have you learned about savings?
That is needed. It's necessary,
And that sometimes
and
you can
don't touch
get
it.
to it.
And I say that because like you just never know. So like when you put money into your savings account, like make sure you don't touch it so that you can create a space for yourself that like, okay, I know that I will always have this for a rainy day.
I say I've had to learn that sometimes I can dip into it when it is that rainy
Well,
day.
I mean, well, I was about to get to that too because I mean I do that too. But I feel like my savings for me is like it's a rainy day fund, but it's also a like it's also the self love savings.
Hmm.
So like it's like okay, you can love on yourself a little extra at this point because you
Hmm.
got this money right here in the cut. Um, but yeah, and I also have to separate the two because I merge them together, and I be like, well, you can only spend it when it's a rainy day, but I'm just like, no, I need to love on myself a little extra, so I'm gonna pay my bills out of my checking, and I'm
Hmm.
gonna dip into my savings to love on myself.
I had to give myself so much permission for that. Yeah, I was in the middle of a hurricane and I still wasn't trying to dip in my savings.
Yup.
After I came back off um my deployment and I had I had made that big purchase, right? And I
Mhm.
didn't have any hesitation about it. I dropped some stacks on that car because I said I don't want no car payment, whatever. But
Right.
because I had made such a big decision, that means any other big decision was just out the window. Financially, I wasn't in the mindset to do it. So I moved back in with my parents and I stayed there for months. Miserable, y'all. I'm talking about going through a bottle, 2 bottles of wine a day in my room. I did not want to be there. I felt like I was not supposed to be there, and I wasn't. Actually, I was because God had to break it down for me.
Yeah.
But it was just when He revealed to me, like, look at your bank account, look at the financial stuff you had coming in. I had stacks in my bank account, y'all.
Mhm.
I had unemployment coming in because it was hard for me to find a job. So, but I was still getting unemployment. That's what you get, after you've been overseas and been on assignment.
Yeah.
So I had money coming in, and because my financial anxiety was so bad, I was not spending any of it.
Mhm.
I was convinced I could not move out until I had another stream of income,
Yeah, man.
and I stayed in that for months. So one thing that got me out of it was like, you're gonna have to take a leap of faith. It wasn't even no leap of faith because I had the money, but in my mind, it's like, okay, you can move out. You can get your own space. You can do this. You have enough. And so I had to break myself out that mindset. So that's why I tell myself, like, okay, you look at your savings and it's more than enough in there. You can use it. Not it's never gonna be, I know it's never gonna get to a point because of my mindset where I'm spending too much.
Yeah.
I have the opposite problem. So
Can we talk about overspending though as a part of anxiety?
that happens too. It does happen. Let's
So,
talk about it. Go ahead.
um,
As a part of depression too.
yeah. So of course, like I built up a wall of resentment for having to um basically pay my parents money or whatever, and I also like I was feeling some resentment before deployment or whatever. It was just a lot of emotions, and so I came back and I came back to my parents' house, And I was like, I gotta move out. I gotta move out. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. And so I went and got the apartment or whatever, but I didn't wait long enough to have a reset before I spent that money or whatever. And then I just started feeling like I had to furnish the apartment right away. I had to do this, do that. And then it got to a point where I had overspent so much that I was like, oh my God, I need a job like right now because my bank
Mm-hmm.
account is getting low.
Lower than what I'm comfortable with.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
then another time has been like if I get triggered, I've I've recently learned this about myself. Like if I get triggered bad enough, I feel like I need to go in the store and spend money to self soothe. And
Yeah.
and I it was like one day I was triggered. So I feel like me and you went in the mall one day and I literally spent $400 within like 30 minutes. And I was like, what? But it didn't hit me until like later on that day when I had
Mm-hmm.
calmed down because I was still on a high from anxiety that I was like, oh, I need to spend, I need to feel better, I need comfort, I need this, I need that. And then when I got home, I was like, girl, what were you doing? Like,
Yeah.
but I kept like when I was on the high, I kept telling myself, oh, I'm gonna make this money back. I work hard. I can I
Mm-hmm.
can do that. I can go spend all this money and make it back. But it's just like for what? Like you didn't even need half of that stuff that you bought.
Right.
But when I realized what it was, and so I started basically like only going to the store when I really needed something, or
Mm-hmm.
if I did go to the store, I would leave. Like if I wanted to go in the store just to say, if I claimed that I was just going to walk in the store, I would leave my wallet in the car or
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
So just so I wouldn't spend any money, but like I had to put those practices into place because I realized like that it was a deeper issue than just oh I'm going in the store to buy something. Like it was literally turning into a self-soothing moment because I was anxious, and I which in turn resulted in me overspending.
That's some real stuff. Like it really is cuz I mean, we've talked about it before, like we've discussed it. And one thing I know is like I'll have periods where I'm working, working, working. That's all I'm doing. I'm working and I'm hoarding money. And then because I'm delaying all this gratification,
Mhm.
I have that moment where not only is my anxiety high, I'm my self care is running on E, and
Mhm.
so and then it might be some other emotional triggers that happen, and next thing I know, I done blew through this money.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And it didn't make a dent because I've hoarded so much of it. But at the same time, it's just like if you continue this practice, it's no guarantee, first of all, that you are going to always be in this financial position. But if you
right.
continue this practice, it's just another form of, like you said, financial anxiety. And it's the opposite. It's going to have you in a worse position than you already in. And so having to have those talks with yourself to gain that emotional control back and
Yeah,
real and know what those triggers are, like, okay, why am I feeling like this? Because a lot
yeah,
of times you'll get back and you'll be like, I didn't even really want this top. Why I
yep,
buy this?
yeah,
I got all these pairs of shoes that I still hadn't wore. Why did I buy this other, pair of shoes?
yeah,
And I don't know. It's interesting that it works that way because it's like you're trying to satisfy some void or some kind of other thing that's going on with you, and the only thing that you know how to do that with is the money,
yeah,
because that's what you associate with good and bad feelings. Like when I look sometimes and see how much money I've made, it's also a high. So when I spend it, to get all this stuff that I've been denying myself, it gives me that same high. It's just crazy.
yeah. Also, too, finding that healthy balance of okay, like if I put this stuff into practice, like it's okay every once in a while to buy the thing that you've been wanting,
Hmm.
But also, like it's like working up to that though. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
it's not like, oh, I'm gonna go spend all this money, but at the same time, like, okay, I can give myself permission, like, you know, once every 2 weeks or once every month or whatever,
Hmm.
like to go buy a small thing or make a big purchase, but know that like I don't always have to be anxious. Like I can make a conscious decision and be like, okay, I know that I've been wanting this, so I'm gonna dedicate this day where I'm gonna go and pay for this or whatever. But
Right.
it's just finding your balance and finding your rhythm. But
You have
I
to.
just know I just know that I had to realize like, yo, like this is
A problem.
anxiety problem because we can't continue with this high and this low thing. Like, oh, I'm
Mhm.
high and I got this money, I made this money, so I'm gonna celebrate myself and spend it all, and then I'm back low again. Like,
And then you feel worse because you spent money, and money
right,
is your trigger too. So it's just
right.
be, it'd
It's
be
just
weird. It's just like, okay, shopaholic, like. But
right.
like you said, I do have it as a part of my self care routine now. That because I used to realize I did it a lot more, when I was younger. So
Yeah,
now it's a part of my self care routine. And it's like, okay, every week, because of the stressors in your life and the things that you go through, every week you're going to do something small for yourself. So
yeah.
every Monday, because they ain't got no delivery fee at Chipotle, I order me some Chipotle, so I ain't got to stop by. I ain't got to be what
Mhm.
it gets delivered to my house.
Right,
$20. You know what I'm saying? $20 I wouldn't spend normally, but
right.
at the end of the day, that's a part of what I do for myself. And I do other stuff like, okay, once a month you're going to do something, whether it's getting a massage, getting, of course I got to get these feet. You got to go to work on my feet, okay?
Okay.
I mean, shut up. But different things like that, and then I'll look at that thing that I've been thinking about purchasing that I didn't feel comfortable purchasing at the time when I saw it, and I'll ask myself, okay, are you ready now? And that'll be another practice. So instead of
Right,
it taking me months to decide if I want something, and then all at once I'm trying to get all the things that I've been wanting for
right.
months, because that happens. I'll try to make sure I'm checking in with myself every couple of weeks to
Checking
see,
ins
okay,
are
are you
important.
good?
Checking
Hmm.
in with yourself, with others, all of that. That is
Yeah.
important.
What would you do if you married somebody rich? I say right now, I'll quit my job.
Um,
I'm gonna be a philanthropist.
I would want to say that I would be comfortable, but I'm trying to work on the comfort with it because I would part of me would feel like, oh, I need to put some money to the side, or
And I would.
I mean I would, but it's just like it also it's like where is it coming from though? And I don't want, if I ever marry somebody with money, I don't want to be uncomfortable. Like I want to enjoy it. I want
Of
to enjoy
course,
it.
yeah. It feels
I
secure.
have a rich husband, like girl, I could go in this store and buy what I want. But it's just like what, like I said, the unlearning and retraining your mind. So I would, the healed part of me and the if
Your
I'm gonna
face.
if I'm gonna tap into my most healed self, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm good. Yes, yes, honey, running these businesses and knowing that my man is rich.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I'm not even gonna talk about the other stuff.
I would just invest in myself. That's something you can't really take away from me. So I'm just like, we can build this empire or whatever. But I would definitely be enjoying myself. I tell you that much. I wouldn't be. I don't. I would probably be able to like exhale a little bit, be able to
But I'm
breathe.
just like, is he rich? Is he rich and he coming with some sense, or he rich and he controlling?
If
That's
I
what I think
married
about
him, he
too.
rich and got sense.
That's
No,
what I'm thinking about too. I'm like, listen, don't
if
put
we
too much on
married,
this.
if I marry him, he got
Yeah,
some sense.
definitely. Yeah.
So, um,
But even the fact that I thought about that before I thought about my happiness says a lot. But we gonna keep it moving.
yeah, we closing it out for a second. So, um, when mm, what new financial freedoms have you had lately, or have you given yourself?
um, the freedom to choose myself
Mm,
and the freedom to spend money on myself without feeling guilty for it or feeling like if I spend money on myself, then I need to also spend money on somebody else.
mm. The freedom to enjoy myself and whatever that looks like. So, if I want to go take myself to dinner and a steak costs $40, that's okay. I ain't
Yeah.
gonna do it every day, but
Right.
like you said, freeing myself up from that guilt and putting myself at the forefront of my mind and not having everything and
Right.
everyone else there.
Uh,
Um, yeah.
yeah.
Do you have a budget for your household?
Of course, I do.
I don't.
But it's you though.
Oh no, but I've tried, and what I know about
I
myself,
feel
because
like
everybody will tell you to
I feel
budget,
like you
budget,
say no,
budget.
but I feel like you have an unconscious budget.
I do. I have a mental budget, but as far as
Yeah.
like, because I've tried the spreadsheets, I've tried
Oh,
the.
I can't now that I can't
I
do.
cannot do it
I
because
can
it
keep up
it
with it.
flares, it triggers my financial anxiety,
Yeah.
and so I had to find ways to work with myself. I know how much my household requires financially, and I know how much I bring in, and I know like because I have a cheap household, like I'm never really in a space where I'm putting more out than I put in,
Yeah.
unless I'm doing like additional spending.
Right.
Um, but as far as like a budget where it's just like, okay, I'm only gonna spend this much on groceries. I'm only gonna do this. I tried
Oh
it
yeah. Nah.
before. I
Nah.
even tried the envelopes before. I
Yeah.
don't think that I will be at that point where I'm doing something like that until I'm in a joint household.
The only thing that I say that I put into practice is like if I get like I try to save my tips. Um,
Mm.
I put them aside for me, for a moment where I want to go spend something, pay buy something for myself, or I will try to put in practice like, okay, I'm gonna put my rent money in this box, or
Mm-mm.
I try to do that type of stuff. But as far as like, oh, I'm gonna only spend this much on grocery, but also too, I noticed that I would have overspending moments on grocery because I would go well, I have social anxiety, so I would just end up putting stuff in the buggy that I didn't
Yeah, that too.
stop
We
for.
did say that was a part of it.
Um,
Going to
so
Walmart.
just trying to make sure that before I even go in the grocery store, like
That's a
that I'm
list.
good and I affirm myself, but also like making a list that I only
Mhm.
get what's on my list.
Yeah.
Um, but as far as like a budget, no, no,
Because I feel like that's putting, I put enough restrictions on myself. If I
yeah,
start doing that even more, then that's when the overspending comes into play too, because I've triggered myself. So I have to have this unique way of doing things
hmm,
that keeps me on a steady pace.
yeah.
Um, I think I was about to say something. I forgot what I was about to say. It's not coming back either. As we close this out, any financial advice you would give to someone on their journey?
Um, I would advise people to spend time with themselves so that they can become aware of like their triggers and the um the traumas that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it concerns money. Like when you spend a lot of money, like how does that make you feel? Or um when you even like mapping out your bills, like how does that make you feel? Like knowing being aware of how you feel in the moment
Yeah.
matters, and it'll tell you like where you need to go and what areas you need to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, also, like even after this conversation, like what's coming up, like when you hear this conversation, like what's rising to the surface, because that's exactly what you need to work on and what you need to address. Um, but yeah, I would just advise them to like spend some time looking at life and the triggers and stuff, and just knowing that it's okay to take care of you. Like it is okay.
Give yourself permission.
Yeah.
So some people, I think there's a lot of people that don't know they have financial anxiety or they struggle with, that feeling. One way to kind of put it in perspective is everybody pretty much has a banking app on their phone. How often do you actually check it? I don't check mine that often because it's a function of my financial anxiety. And even though I know I have, a good amount in my bank account, if it's not the amount that I want it to be in there, I don't like looking at it. I don't like looking at how much I've spent.
Yeah.
outside of the mental budget that I have for myself. So if you can relate to that feeling, you probably have financial anxiety. And I hope that this episode has done something for you. But if we haven't, to sum it up, I would say, um, give yourself permission to figure it out.
Yeah.
Finances is one of those things that we have to teach each other, but if someone didn't actually teach you, if you didn't have a parent who was financially literate, you didn't have a household growing up that was financially literate, and then all your friends, either they had financial security or they themselves, seem to be more financially literate, and you find yourself being one of those people that struggles,
Hmm.
it's okay.
Yeah.
That's how you get to that point of figuring it out. Like, and so sometimes you're going to make mistakes. I made financial mistakes. I have student loans I didn't have to have.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a part of this conversation we ain't touch on, but you know, if you spend a little bit too much one month and you start, feeling like, oh my God, this is starting to become a habit, like that's okay too. That's how you figure it out.
Hmm.
If you find yourself and you need a budget,
To break the habit.
right. You're gonna make financial mistakes in your journey. You know what I'm saying? And that's okay. Give yourself permission to figure out money. That's the advice that
Yeah.
I would give to you. Because the more you try to make it this elusive, this mysterious, this uncontrollable thing, the more that's what it's going to be in your life. And so realize that you are the one that's in control, and there's so many different resources out there for you to get financial help. This wasn't one of those conversations. I know a lot of podcasts have financial literacy coaches and stuff on. I just wanted to talk to you, and I wanted to tell our stories because I feel like that's where it starts for you to kind of identify what is your form of financial anxiety, and if you do have it, and then you can go and find those resources too.
Yeah. I will also say don't ignore it either. Like don't
Oh
feel like
yeah.
you have it all figured out and that nothing is wrong because that leads to destruction as well.
Hmm. All right, Spa Danny, go ahead and
Yo, yo, yo.
plug your stuff. You already know.
Hey y'all. It's Spa Dani here. Um, Follow me on IG at Spa Dani underscore. Follow me on Facebook at Shakira Wortham LMT or the Spa Dani LLC page, and just follow me and stay updated with any promo codes, anything that I have going on. Yeah, and just stay connected to me. And come get your Spa Dani experience.
Yes, yes, yes. Y'all know I always put in the commercials, so please hit her up. Massages are amazing. I am probably gonna be coming to you this week
Oh
because
yeah,
I am in need
you
this
overdue.
neck. I am way overdue. But it's your host, K Antoinette, and you can follow me on Instagram at K Antoinette underscore the blogger. You can also follow the Let's Build Futures page at let's underscore build underscore futures and visit let'sbuildfutures.com, where I do have a current blog post all about my solo travel to Asheville, North Carolina. I was up in the mountains. I enjoyed myself. Please go read it. And you can also hit me up at allthingslbf at gmail.com if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or topic ideas. I will be happy to read them, and then they'll possibly show up on the show. So, um, yeah, have this financial conversation with yourself and all the people in your life, because money is what makes the world go around, is what they say.
What they say.
Until next time, bye.
Let's build